Welcome to As the River Flows, a Keepers of the Water podcast. I'm Jessie Cardinal. With this podcast, we hope to uplift the collective work and voices of our communities in the protection of waters. We are First Nation, Métis, Inuit, environmental groups, and concerned citizens, working together for the protection of water, air, land. We acknowledge that all water is connected and that water is sacred. Clean, fresh water is vital for the future and survival of all the life we share on this incredible planet. From Miniikwan Lake Cree Nation in Treaty 6 territory, Dr. Kevin Lewis joins us, a writer, a researcher, an instructor, and the founder of Kâniyâsihk Culture Camp, where students participate in land-based learning, connecting with elders and knowledge keepers, from harvesting medicines to tanning hides to ceremony.
Thank you. Ni ganito yun na naskamoni sa kaksiwat sit kawasamin na kapumapatu sise. So I'd like to thank the creator for allowing us to meet, even if it is virtual. And I'm also glad for the water keepers for keeping these webinars going, because they're all such beautiful topics and so close to our homes and our home fires. And of course, our hearts and our families. And again, just sort of making sure that we understand the power of prayer as well, that we communally maybe give a prayer to the thunder beings. Make it rain. Let's communally use the way we do things and pray to the the chief thunder being to work and help the fires, not for them to spread as far and fast and wide, but to nourish Mother Earth, and for that summer to roll into that gardening and planting and harvesting season, right? So it's all that cycle of life, and we notice it when things are off a little bit. Already right away, when the spruce kapisakpagag, we call it, right, which is kind of like sakpagaupism, which is the May moon. That's when the pussy willows are starting to pop, and then so on, right? You start seeing that, and all of a sudden the bears, that's when they start kapimuskitsig, right? So that we talked about bear teachings, and then all the fasters, all the chicken dancers, all the lodges that are popping up in our territories, for them to have good ceremonies. So, because they look after us too. Sometimes maybe we can't be there in person. Sometimes, we have prior commitments or multiple things that we need to take care of, and we can't show up at those ceremonies, but they're still committed to those prayers that we've done since time immemorial, as they say it, right? So again, these are the lodges that are continuing. The sun dancers are still continuing. They've never, ever given up, even though things were outlawed in this country. Now, we weren't allowed to sing our songs. We weren't allowed to put up these lodges. So what would we do? We went underneath. We went in the night. We went far deep in the bush, and we still continued them. So I thank those strong-willed people. And then maybe they were hard-headed in a way, but they were also, there's a commitment to the creator, because these laws were given by the creator to keep this balance and to understand how delicate we are, right? How delicate we are, that we need water, we need rain, we need that snow, we need a good amount of snow for these times when it's kind of this dry season right now. Coming from sort of like just having nice, big ears that I have, I always give thanks for these beauties here, these big hubcaps. I get to listen to elders, and I get to listen to all sorts of different elders from different places. But one thing, El Nino, and that's supposed to be coming up here pretty soon, and it's not this year yet. So if things are pretty dry right now, and you start listening to sort of like the cycles of the earth, and we have internet now. And when I approached some of our elders for doing the work that we do here at kon-ya-sik, Miniikwan Lake Cree Nation in northwestern Saskatchewan, in the boreal forest, So we're full of trees all around. We're full of forest, and we're full of lakes. It's not right here. It's kind of like a transition zone between the plains of south of us, north of Saskatchewan River, and then into the Canadian Shield. So this is kind of like the area that we're at right now, and it's delicate right now, right? We have to have prayers to the fire spirit. We have to have prayers to everything that we're related to. I think my focus, we do things right with our children and share these teachings, we're going to be okay, right? And I also want to remind, when I was going to the elders here and I was asking them, oh boy, climate change, what's going to happen? Oh my goodness, ozone layer, what's going to happen, And I thought they were going to give and bestow, and they did, but I thought it was going to be like more of a panic mode, like I have. Like I was like, this is the end of the world, sky is falling. And then what they said was, in just the calm way that they do, kiwiratan himiguapa, kiwiratan asichigiun, momochigiun, kiwiratan. And that's what they said. And what that means is, go home to those old teachings, go home to those lodges, go home to those ceremonies, and there you're going to find your answers. And it is there that we do find our answers. We learn how to live when times like this have happened, because this isn't the first time like climate change has happened for us. That's how long we've been here. We've been here through a flood. We've been here through ice ages. And we've been here through forest fires, winds, and all these different. So we've been here quite a long time, despite what DNA and whatever sampling that they're going to try to throw at us to say, oh yeah, we've traveled from somewhere else. Oh yeah, we did for sure. But it's not where you think, We're a lot older. Our DNA comes from this land right here. Canada, it reminds me of a word, kaganata. Kaganata is clean, where it's clean, right? And things clean land, and just think about it, like the common sense. Let's say if I have ceremonial items, let's say if I have a pipe, or I've heard whistles, I've heard all these different things, and this is in Musum Panoma. I heard him say this in a recording, and it was him. He used to go out in the bush and he would hang his pipes, he would hang his whistles, he would hang his drums, his rattles, and then he would allow the wind to clean those items. He would allow the grandfather wind to come and just do their cleaning, cleaning of all those things that he had to use, and he used them quite a bit in all these different ceremonies. So again, for us too, for ourselves, it's nice to be out there, but also to understand that we have that power of prayer, we have that power of our medicines, we have those teachings in there to give us clues how to behave. And I'm starting to say this, and I say this to use voice, to use the power of my voice, to make it into a fruitation. I want it to happen. But we still just never know when our time here on this earth walk is going to be finished, right? We just never know that. But with that said, I envy those elders that lived into their hundreds. And I sat with like three elders for sure that lived over 100. And like I said earlier, I'm only 25, right? 25 years old. So that's a lot. 75 more years. So I'm just kidding. Part of that is genetics. We'll say that. Okay. Genetically, we have to have like old people, which we do. And if you talk to those elders that are in those ceremonial lodges, that was the norm. Back then, people used to eat. The other part has to do with a diet. What are we eating? How are we treating our bodies, right? What are we putting inside to have that longevity? How to live into that ripe old age? Because the elders, when you talk to them, when you hang out with them, and I don't want to be an elder right away. I want to be an elder way utinikan, okay? I want to go through this process a week now, and learn as I go. So maybe I can bestow a little bit of wisdom when I'm over here, way over here, if I do things right. The third thing that I found out was it's a legacy, some sort of legacy. So it doesn't matter how you do this, whether you go to church to create a legacy, whether you go to the Sundance or the Sweat Lodge, or whether you do it in yourself, by yourself, but it's like building and developing like a little shrine. What I mean about shrine is have pictures of your great-great-grandparents or oldest pictures that you can find, hang them up, and then also have pictures of your family, your wife, your loved ones. Make a wall full of pictures that are of your family, put them there. And then you walk by that every day, and that's that legacy reminder. Oh yes, I've got something to live for. It's right here. I'm walking right by it all the time. So those three things, isn't that cool? So what happened was with these old people right here, our relatives, what they used to do was there's ceremonial holders. And when you get into a lodge, that's the shrine right there that people go to every year. And they're committed to that, those songs, those bundles, those pipes, those teachings, those medicines that are in there, those berries that need to be picked, a certain time. You can't pick these things in winter time, but sometimes I do. I have a real good picking berry patch in Cold Lake. So these things, we're supposed to pick them, during the summertime when they're ripe, right? When they're ready to be picked. And then other things too, the foods, right, that we pick, the medicines, the sweetgrass, the sages, the cedar we got to trade for, got to travel to get all of these different roots that keep our blood and our hearts, our organs. What are the medicines that we need to drink right now in the springtime? But we looked into it, and this is something that the elders used to do here, and they used to drink birch water. That birch tree, they used to tap it every spring, and the old people used to drink it, and we're starting to revive it. And you only have a little window to do this, right? You only have a little window, and then you got to plug them again, and then you got to wait another year. But it's a tonic that you drink that is so good. And the type of sugar, it's a fructose type of sugar, and it's good for our bodies. And in our communities right now, there's a lot of diabetes, a lot of obesity. Man, we have round dance, we have ghost dance, we have the feast, we have all these different ceremonies where we always incorporate food, right? And the toughest thing for me to see, to be honest, but it's so hard, but it's a good hard, okay? It's difficult. Because in our days, it's hard to go hunting, it's hard to go harvesting, it's hard to go do all these things to prepare for a ceremony, all these dances that we do. So the convenience is we'll go to the Walmart, we'll go to the local grocery store, and we'll go get foods that are very easy. But the hard part is to harvesting moose and to preparing that moose, or going fishing, going duck hunting, doing all those things that we should be doing. So we need to sort of dance around that idea. So we need to work as community members, and we need to hunt for them. We need to hunt and gather for these ceremonies. So you can't be saying, oh, I don't know why we do that all the time, and point the fingers. We need to become active, provide those foods that are healthy for us. Those traditional foods are good for us. They are medicine. Like the Inuit are already, they've done so many studies up there because the processed foods were going so high, and that's what they were eating. Their sicknesses were getting higher and higher. But when they started going and harvesting, more of their traditional foods, guess what happened? And then their health went up, and it's because probably they're moving. So again, taking responsibility for ourselves. If you want to be an old man, if you want to be an old woman, if you want to see grandchildren, if you want to see great-grandchildren, we're going to have to take care of ourselves, and we're going to have to eat right. We're going to have to exercise. And number one thing, we're going to have to socialize. COVID era, sucked. Giugatun was so, we were just kind of like in isolation. And that isolation, what happens in that isolation, dealing with ceremony, everyone kind of went through some sort of fasting ceremony, a fast of not visiting, and then we're kind of contemplating, okay, what's going to happen? What are we going to be doing? What's our next move? How should we, am I going to make it? So you're processing just like you do an actual fast. So when you're in a fast, I don't know. I prayed hard during COVID. I self-reflected. I know I exercised not as much as I should have, but we were doing like lots of physical activities. And I missed my family. I missed my friends. I missed Gugum. I missed all the ceremonies. So I was really contemplating to see what the heck is the next move going to look like. And I missed that family, And then, so now we're out, now we can move around. And then now we've also learned how to use Zoom. We've used technology. We're starting to use all this stuff. So we're starting to share our stories. And like Jared he gave us such a good look of what he's up to over there and what the possibilities are. So I'm hoping there's a lot of people that are listening in on this, on the session, and then people share it because there's some really interesting things that are being shared right now. Stories, being inclusive, and then of course, who we are, where do we come from and how sensitive we are. And we should start thinking and readjusting the way we buy things as well. Maybe in a 200-kilometer or 100-kilometer radius. Maybe that's if we can organize ourselves that way, so we don't have to go so far and burn so much gas, actually possibly even grow your own. Again, I wanted to give the creator, of course, acknowledgement, and Mother Earth wanting to promote Matsun or Upiganawasun. So how to promote well-being, but also understanding how to use our medicines in a good way, and also sort of not to follow the capitalistic model. Capitalism is kind of a real, I don't know, and I don't want to sound like a socialist. I don't know if like English is such a, they departmentalize everything, they categorize everything. The true socialists were probably our elders that think about communally. How's everybody doing? But not just the two-leggeds. They think about the moose. They think about the buffalo. They think about those bears. They think about those winged ones. They think about Mother Earth. How's the water? What about the thunder beings? What about the sun? What about the wind? What about all those different things all around us? So true socialism is probably that, but like the only ones that I've ever seen do that are the ones that are still doing those lodges. And they're doing that despite, all the rules and all the laws that have happened. So again, atayuhkyun, these cultural teachings, all these cultural ways of planting. In southern Saskatchewan, there's a book that was written, and it was about how well First Nations people and the Métis settlements and scripts were doing in terms of planting. And then the farmers then were getting paranoid because they're like, well, what about us? You gotta cut them off. You gotta watch. You gotta develop policy. They can't be. They're out planting us. They're out gardening us. They're out. So this is documented, right? And it's because we have that connection. We know how to pray. We have songs of Mother Earth. We have lots of songs of Mother Earth. And then what she said in our worldview was, I'll look after you. There's two things that I'll look after. And then she's also istis no gawia, mamo gawimo iguan istis no gawia. So the iguan mo agutun. So that's a part of Atayuhkyun. One of my really good friends, and I call him Miniikwan. He come up with this idea, creating water filtration system that was of nature. And this is the idea of us trying to figure out, okay, water issues. We really wanted to figure out, what do we do? We need to clean this. People are starting to feel the effects of like too much chlorine, the chemical treatments of our water systems. Like we were trying to figure out a clean way, natural way to filter the water so we can drink it. But with this water as well, in this community, we've always gardened. And whether it was wild things that we would transplant, wild medicines that we would transplant and they would grow here, which we've been doing. And so we looked, and then this thing called the grocer and hydroponics is a new way of growing, and we're trying it. So we've purchased in the community 2 grocers, and you can probably Google grocer, but we're trying it for the first time, and I have a couple of really good things to say about it. One, we don't have to travel to the cities to go find fresh greens that we can eat for salads, fresh stuff that we can use for herbs. Like there's a whole bunch of different things that can grow in these grocers, and they're functioning right now. But what's happening in the community is we have to relearn and re-educate ourselves that we've never really always ultimately ate meat. Okay. Yes, we're hunters. We know how to hunt, but there's also eggs. There's also wild edibles that are out there, but also those gardens that we've always had, right? So knowing that, there was a problem that happened here. We had a research that was done here. University of Waterloo came here and they did some questions, having our elders speak. So one of our elders speaks up and she says, oh yes, yeah, we always garden here. I remember the very first Indian agent that was starting to move here. Indian agents were so powerful. They were given a lot of authority. And when they come here, they even called them Sunyao Ugimao, the boss money chief. That's what they call them, the Indian agent. And what the Indian agent was, he started strategically on purpose this idea of dependency cycle kicked off by this Indian agent, which was so evil. So this Indian agent would come to one family and then they would say, let me check out your garden. And then they would look at the garden and he would assess the garden. Your garden's good. You don't need these rations. I'm going to go to your neighbor. And then if that one didn't have a good garden, all the rations were given, right? So the neighbor is looking at this and saying, what? That's not fair. That's not our way. So this dependency of ration day started coming. Pretty soon, that first garden was saying, I'm not going to garden. I'm not going to bother gardening because I want those rations too. So I'm going to forget my garden. And then they started having welfare day that evolved into welfare day. And now welfare day is the one that consumes us. It's consuming us. Pretty soon people are just waiting for that, right? We forgot the work. We forgot our relationship with Mother Earth. Mamo gawi mao. This is the one that said was going to provide for us. But it's going to have to take work. You have to work for that garden. So we still have time to plant and garden and give acknowledgements to Mother Earth. Mamo gawi mao. Protocol. Put a little bit of tobacco down. Till the gardens. Start seeding. And then start planting those gardens for healing, healing ourselves. And then start learning how to promote better eating habits, not just straight processed food, which is the cheap food, which is the most affordable food, just because that welfare check is not big enough anymore. If you don't have that much money, you're going to buy and make that dollar stretch as far and wide as possible. And you're just barely making it by. So it's like poverty, we're just living in poverty, and that shouldn't be. But again, our brain development, we need to incorporate language. We need to incorporate this to our children. We need to show them how to prepare these ducks, these geese, because we have that ecological knowledge. We have that traditional ecological education. We have that. So we need to figure it out, how to engage and how to privilege our elders. That's what we need to do. Get those elders out, because now they want to be out. They've been stuck inside for too long. They've been out, they've been winterizing too long. Now bring them out. It's like the bears are out, and they'll come out and share all these little things about rabbits, about teas, about how to skin, how to prepare fish, how to feed yourself, how to make it so delicious. What type of flavors, natural flavors are they using? Oh my goodness, that was such a good fish. What the heck did you put in that wood, right? What was that flavor? They'll tell you. And then of course, we have Wagutun, we have all this beautiful knowledge all around us. And then when you take people outside, the chemicals inside, they start balancing, and then the endorphins kind of kick in. And when you get them tired, doesn't matter what age, get those elders tired, get those little babies tired. Actually, maybe those babies will tire us out because they have like unbelievable amount of energy. It balances the chemicals inside the brain. Paddling, gardening, seeding, working. We're the oldest, we're the original hippies, you're going to say, right? We're the original green movement. We're the oldest ones that deal with the green movement. We are the green movement, right? So people are starting to live like us. They want to know our connection.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining us. I always appreciate our visits. I encourage everyone to make time to be on the land and nourish your relationship with Mother Earth. I'm Jessie Cardinal, Executive Director for Keepers of the Water. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and all the socials. Every voice matters when protecting our waters, lands, and animals. Hi, ikse.